Hello, everybody, and welcome to the finals of the GenCon Nationals. My name is Steven.
And I'm Tim.
Hi, Tim. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Steven?
I'm doing well. Benoit is on the right. We have Zach on the left. Benoit is undefeated at this point, coming into the finals.
So that means he's going to have to lose twice to lose this tournament.
He'll have to lose twice. And I don't know. I've watched plenty of finals. Of course, we've commented on plenty of them. And I've not, I don't think, seen the person ending up in the finals undefeated ever losing a tournament. So it would be a first, and what a GenCon Nationals it would be if that happened.
It would be a real heater, if you will.
I know that we were standing around watching this game. There was a pretty decent crowd around here too. After a long and absolutely grueling GenCon, where you have 2 days of 128-person Swiss.
There's a lot of Netrunner.
And then from those 2 days, you narrow it down to a 64-person Swiss. And then from that 64-person Swiss, you get a top 16?
Top 8.
Top 8, which is just unreasonable. Not unreasonable in the sense that it shouldn't be done, but in that it is just insane.
It's a ludicrous amount of Netrunner.
So there has been a lot of filtering done to get down to these games, and we have Near Earth Hub on the left, played by Zach, and Kate the Almighty on the right by Benoit. And what can we say at this point? I know there was a lot of NEH going into the finals here and going into the top 8. What about the runner side? We saw some Kates. Anything else? I think we saw some Andys as well.
Andy and Kate were the majority.
I think Andy and Kate were almost, exclusively. So we have the ladies in charge, Andy and Kate, and then we had NEH all over the place. I think 6 total Near Earth Hub decks. Then we had a Making News deck as the next slot, and then finally 1 Cerebral Imaging deck.
I wish I could have seen that one.
So I'm sure it was doing the same old tricks that we're used to Cerebral Imaging, and I think NBN Making News is probably very similar to these NEH decks, just kind of one of the old school NBN AstroScript crazy decks. And Zach with one of the coolest shuffles that we've seen.
It looks really fancy. I don't know why it does, but it does.
Zach feels like a poker player to me. Doesn't he give you that
I
Texas Hold'em vibe?
Yeah, totally.
And Benoit, I got a chance to talk to Benoit after the tournament, and he's just a really supremely nice guy.
He's a very nice guy.
Didn't get a chance to talk to Zach, but he seems like a cool dude as well.
Also a cool dude. I talked to him more than you did, I think.
Yeah, more than 0. And both players rocking some great playmats, from store championships to regionals and now to nationals. So both players obviously having earned their stripes, as it were, in the Netrunner community. And
Zach has to keep this hand.
Tossing his hand back for a mulligan. And now he's going to have to draw and get it started.
Yep, mandatory.
There's the draw.
Ooh, draws a biotic.
See a biotic? That's going to give us a
early.
really big hint as to what he's doing. He's going to be fast advancing. Install over the top of HQ, first action. Install an R&D, second action. And now is the real question here.
You have the sweeps.
Sweet sweet. And there he goes.
Yep.
So
that's a pretty standard opening.
Standard.
Nothing
Ice
fancy here.
Baby is what we call that in the business.
Proco turn 1. Huge hit.
Proco turn 1. Wow. And then second action, use it. Third action, running R&D. And sees something that goes back to the top.
Turn 1 Proco always hurts me.
It is. It's painful.
I get it. It's awesome because you need to get that going, but...
And then HQ for Eli. Going to shut that down, giving a hint that perhaps there is an Astro in hand, and we know, having seen it now, that there is indeed an Astro in hand. And that first Astro for NBN is such a critical thing. Mm-hmm. NEH creating a new server.
Another biotic?
And so we draw another card. Sees a biotic. Second click, going to install a card, and then going to gain a credit for third. And now the pressure's on Benoit here. Is that the Astro? Is that an agenda? Can I get there fast enough? I'm on 1 credit.
It's not looking good for if that is an agenda getting in there.
If that's an agenda getting in, I mean, we could see all sorts of sneaky things, be it like some credits in an inside job out of nowhere. What else could we see?
That's about it.
Very little.
That's about it right now. With whenever he's on 1 credit.
Yeah, and that kind of a very significant early scoring window that you give whenever you throw that 5 credits under the bus first turn. So going to check it, and it looks like it's going to be a wraparound.
He got wrapped.
That's the first action. So now having some options to how to handle that. And I don't know that Benoit has anything even in the deck that's going to get him out of this position. Run an R&D. And I'm going to score a Project Beal.
Ooh, that's not what you want.
Running R&D again. Nothing. And now, so that's good for Benoit. At least he can trade 2 for 2 if he gets the Astro. You really want to slow that train down. But
It's really
yeah.
2 for 6 if we're going to be honest
It's
here.
true. He's gaining a credit and discarding a scavenge. Gaining credit, drawing a card for Proco, and then discarding that scavenge down. So we'll get to see now, is it the Astro? And
it looks like
most
it is.
certainly is.
Ah, that is brutal.
That's where you want it.
So he's got that. He's got at least 1 biotic in hand.
All right, but now indexing. Very low credits. This is a great window for Benoit. Maybe counting on this, to be honest. Getting those 3 credits off the pool.
Let's hope he doesn't hit an APD, though.
Yeah, that would be no good. He certainly is indexing, so he can kind of do whatever he wants.
Right. But that low credits, you don't want to see it ever.
Yeah, and the way that he's arranging this, I wonder. I mean, it's kind of one of those things, first turn he indexes. Does he credit, steal an APD if it's an APD?
That's such a huge hit to your tempo.
Very tough. Oh, and sees nothing, looks like. Getting another credit, and that's a big miss. Whenever those indexings whiff, that is a lot of goodness just not coming your way there. And hits Proco yet again. And final thing, going to steal the NAPD. So it was there.
Called it. No. Yeah, it's such a hard decision. It's one of those, do I want to put it towards the bottom of the stack and then like build up some economy? Because now he's broke again.
Yeah, now we're back to 0. We've got an Astro counter on Zach's side. And we're going to see if he can utilize it. He needs some money as well. And looks like he's just going to get 3 credits. And that is a really good situation for Benoit, I think. He can maintain this pace for sure. Credit and card for Proco. First click. Credit and card for Proco on the second click there.
Just digging.
He is digging. And what does he look at? See, he had a pretty good little R&D option. Does he start to dig for interfaces here?
I think that he's really just right now digging for some economy.
Yeah.
Which digging gets him economy. But then also maybe a breaker of some sort. Because until he gets that breaker, it's going to be hard.
It is going to be difficult, especially on that barrier, of course, I imagine what you're talking about. So probably looking for Corroder.
Mm-hmm. Or the NT.
And there's prepaid. So you got to wonder, is Lucky Find in hand?
We shall see.
We shall see. But this is a very popular archetype for those watching who have not seen a lot of Netrunner. Prepaid voice pad allowing you to have a recurring credit to pay for events, and then running economy events like Dirty Laundry and, of course, Lucky Find, which makes it a really, really good deal. And discards a special order, so that's kind of a clue. Interesting. I know we talked to Benoit about that slot, that special order slot. I don't think he was necessarily a fan of it by the end of the tournament. But also kind of signaling, hey, I've got a Corroder any day of the week. Or otherwise, I don't think I would have gotten rid of that.
Yeah, there's no way that he got rid of that for no reason.
And back over to Zach here.
Now probably we'll see a sure gamble.
There's a new server, going to draw a card. And we're seeing this new identity really come to light.
It's so good.
Already 2 cards drawn. Going to play a hedge fund to gain 9. And hedge fund sweeps week, the 2 real economy like operations that just have taken NBN over the top here recently. We also see marked accounts, just of course in this deck, makes a lot of sense.
Building the servers.
And you're gonna see a Sansan over there on the side. And it's a bummer to see it and not be able to deal with it, because you just know what's happening. Zach gaining a credit his last click on that last turn, so he's at 10. That's gonna score anything out off that Sansan, and there's not a lot that Benoit can do about it here.
It's once ever you have a Sansan on the table and an Astro, it's so hard to get tempo again.
Yeah, really, really hard. I think R&D lock we've kind of determined to be the best way to deal with this. Checking a Parasite as well, and I believe a Fim, yeah. So I think Benoit's got to just kind of get through, hope that maybe there's 4 points in hand here, and try to lock down R&D. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it, but I know it's a reasonable thing to try for. Maybe one of the only ways to really get at this kind of an NBN deck.
It's R&D lock for sure.
And drawing a card, so not going to utilize that Sansan unless he wastes the counter, so I don't think he will.
You could also do a breaking news from it.
It's true. Gonna probably hit Jackson there for 2 more cards.
R&D lock, it's really hard to R&D lock near Earth Hub with a Jackson out.
There it is. You're getting a card draw every time you install him, and then you use him for 2. Nasty. And another one over R&D, so Zach preemptively getting ready for the assault that we can assume is coming.
We all know it's coming.
And I've seen a lot of marked in hand here, but he hasn't played one out yet.
You gotta prioritize, I feel.
Yeah.
It's like, do I put the mark down and load it, or do I defend my R&D a little bit more? Because I just need to draw agendas at this point.
Yeah, I think R&D defense is very important. Jackson, and the real question, do you use him or not? I like Benoit spinning 3 if I'm the court there.
I'm definitely not using him. Unless I discarded agendas, but I didn't discard an agenda because I have an Astro and a Sansa.
Yeah, I think we would have scored him for sure. And Benoit digging like a madman here. Proco luckily helping to kind of even out that draw factor.
Yeah, the curve is a lot better than it would be otherwise.
I can't imagine, trying to do both right now. Prepaid voice pad still has not seen any action, which is one of my problems with it. As you well know, Tim, we've had many late night discussions about whether or not we should deal with that card.
1 or 2 late night discussions.
Same old thing comes into play. So, man, we've got event playing for days. We just haven't seen the events yet. Zach taking a peek at the heap there.
It's so brutal. He just needs to get in there. It's like a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, Benoit needs to get in, and Zach could have drawn any number of agendas in this time period, and I think this game speeds up pretty quickly, but not seeing him on top yet. Benoit hitting R&D perfectly, right, to grab that Beal and then not deal with it ever again.
Not again. There's not another agenda for 15 cards.
Yeah, I know.
A feeling.
That's what makes a champion, Tim.
It is, indeed.
Zach now kind of a little bit confused maybe by the fact that there's no agendas showing up.
Surely they're somewhere.
Installs an asset, draws a card.
We've all been there before.
We have.
Right?
It's like I have the tempo here, and
I have the money. I have the fast advance. I just need to find an agenda.
Yeah, and he's gonna take a credit and then load his marked accounts, and he's gonna sacrifice kind of the early scoring to just get a hopefully insurmountable economic advantage through that tempo there. So we'll see if it pays off. Not a lot of options. Could still draw a little bit more, try to draw into those agendas, but making good plays here.
Yeah.
Benoit checking R&D, saying, res some ice, spend some money. I've got 4, and I would like for you to have less. And it's a wall of static.
That will end the run.
Yeah, that's going to prevent the R&D lock for this turn, so give him another chance on the agenda. I'll be interested to see if he draws it.
I just feel like you put down a Corroder and then hit that R&D, right?
You do. You do. And
Force
where is
him to
it?
res some things.
I know. I see. There's been another prepaid. Well, so now a lot of things are free, but that's also, what, 4 credits invested so far? For
2.
No, 2 for Kate, yep.
Which makes it way better.
Kate does make it way better.
But you gotta wonder.
Yeah, it's essentially turning Kate's hardware advantage into an event advantage, which I think is fair, if that's the way you want to go with it. Certainly Lucky Find helping that strategy, but a lot of players wondering, with Opus in faction, with Proco in faction, do you really need to spend 2 influence on Lucky Find?
That's the age-old question since that card came out.
It is the age-old question. Now, if I were talking to an Anarch, I would say, probably, yeah. You need money real bad.
Opus is just so good at that, though.
It is.
If either of those had just been an Opus, he'd be in the money right now.
Boom. As much money as he wants. But we're not Benoit, and we're not at the finals.
We're not at the finals.
We are not at the finals. Installing a card in the new server there. Drawn.
He's just going to sneak an agenda
over
there.
Man, still no agendas that I've seen, yeah. And with Biotics in hand, Sans hand on the board, Astro counter. I mean, 3 in a row and this game's out.
It's so true. He has one in hand. When did he draw that? Just now?
He may have just drawn it off the install there.
Because I remember looking and it wasn't there, and then I looked and it was.
And I wonder, you got to think, do you res a Sansan? Do you Astro counter? Do you Biotic?
I don't think you Astro counter.
I don't think so. I thought those things are sacred for me. There's an NAPD, then now they start flowing. An NAPD, not really the ones that you want to see. And hitting Jackson, again, there's another Astro.
That's what you want.
Benoit's not seeing them. Boy, that would have been a wicked indexing if Benoit could have gotten in there. Stealing that second Astro would have been really critical. Looks like he puts the NAPD down there behind the wraparound.
He's discarding.
Okay. Whew.
He's discarding.
It's like, man, that's a bold play there, Zach. I mean, I think it's a good play. I still don't think he can get in there.
Yeah, but that was all of his actions, though.
Yeah.
He's out of actions. So he's just discarding down now. I think it's fair getting rid of the NAPD.
Yeah. And I'm quite curious, is he going to use Jackson to get it back in the deck?
It's a tough call.
Or is he just going to let him,
pay 4 for this while you're so poor.
I'd hate to put him on 6 points, though.
But it's one of those things that it might just be the nail in the coffin if you can get him down to
And running Jackson here, and this is interesting. He is going to use him. I wonder if it's better to run Archives in that situation. You kind of get the same thing, but you don't even give yourself the option of paying 3 and letting him have that control of the situation. I don't know. It's a good question.
It depends on if he wants to make sure the Jackson's gone no matter what. If that's his primary directive.
To stop the card draw.
To stop the Jackson, then run the Jackson, because then if he doesn't use it, you can still trash it.
Yeah.
But he just happens to have used it.
Which I think both players not terribly disappointed about. Proco again. Boy, just getting caned this game.
Just Procoing around.
Haven't seen a program yet. 4 points to 2.
Now here's the question, Steven.
And a clone chip for free.
If you're Zach, do you res the Sansan to score the second Astro, going down to 0 money? Or 1 money?
No, I would Biotic here, I think. I think that's the answer. Biotic Astro here is just brutal. You and I both know that is brutal.
It's very true. But if you res the Sansan, he has to deal with that Sansan.
He has to come deal with it, yeah. It's a problem. I don't know. If I'm looking at... I know there's at least 2 Biotic in hand. Biotic. That's what Zach's going to go with. It's so safe. He's going to install and draw off of that new install.
Depends on if he installs a new server or behind that ice.
Yeah, I guess does he want it? Yeah, he's going to go ahead and take it. Take the card, leaving the hand a little bit more vulnerable, especially when Benoit can click through the Eli, and that's especially true. This tournament was full of legwork, absolutely full of legwork.
Lots of legwork left and right.
A legwork double click for Eli here is actually a pretty reasonable thing to expect.
I also saw quite a bit of HQ interface, surprisingly.
Yep.
I mean, not necessarily surprisingly, but it was there.
All right, so test run the FIM, and that's going to get him through Wall of Static. Probably going to land in indexing here.
I wouldn't be surprised if he same old things the indexing here.
I think he has one, yeah.
Okay, that works
too.
There
it is. Same old thing, the old school way, which is just play another. So he's going to index here. Now, this could be big. I mean, you could just end the game right here. Benoit.
It's true.
Seeing 2 agendas here could then run twice, and this game is out. And all those Astro counters for nothing. It looks like just come up dry. If this indexing happens a few turns earlier,
game's
completely different game.
Yeah.
You gotta love Netrunner, don't you?
It's so good. It's interesting to me how low both of these people have been economically the whole game.
Yeah.
Really, ultimately. The highest we've seen is 11.
Absolutely, yeah. So now, 2 clicks left? Just a big whiff on indexing, and you have to wonder. I mean, you run the risk, even if Zach eventually gets a little bit more money, you could just bail this thing out. Just Bionic double Astro and get your 3 points the hard way.
Scavenging the FIM.
Scavenging the FIM to the hand.
So he just whiffed that.
And I'm going to go ahead and take a look, and I think this is correct. Benoit has to find that next agenda. Heaven forbid it's an NAPD, Tim.
That would be the worst.
And I'm going to roll off for the card. And he sees nothing.
Okay.
He sees something.
Yeah, but nothing good.
Nothing we need to worry about. Zach drawing a card here. And we'll see. It looks like he does have a Beal there. Ooh. Do you hold fast?
It's so tough. I think you just...
Or do you just score 6? Man, that's a tough one for me. I just don't know the answer. And that's why if you want to make a case for Netrunner being such a good game, even with what you might say about Fast Advance or, Kate and Andy being prevalent, no matter what you think, there is still, in the finals, a decision that I don't think has a right answer. I don't think there is a score and go to 6 or hold and try to go to 7 all at once. I don't think there's a case to be made that is stronger for either side. And that is why we play this game.
Very well said, Steven. Very well said.
And I think Zach
is having an internal debate right now.
In the middle of that decision as we speak.
if he can just get to 7 money, he can just do it, right? He can Biotic and
Yep.
then...
Biotic, install, Astro, advance 3 times. And
So
what would it
if he
take?
gains 2 money and then installs or puts one on the
marked? I don't
that's
know.
still
What
not
would it
enough.
take?
It would
Sweep?
take 2 turns. Yeah,
You've got to think he has a sweeps or a hedge close. Maybe like a credit hedge, or even just some credit and a sweeps. I can't quite see his hand. Looks like he's got a lot of ice.
It's so tough.
Or do you draw and try to find that operation economy? I mean, just a million
Jackson?
options.
Yep. Okay.
Install and drawing like a roto turret.
It's not what you want to see right now.
And installing another piece of ice over the HQ ice currently there.
Money's important right now.
And then also hit marked accounts. So playing it safe, playing a very careful game here. This does give Benoit a bit of an opening. Professional contacts. First click.
What card did Zach install? Oh, we'll see.
Let's both look together.
Jackson. Okay.
And Jackson goes and uses Jackson. And I'm going to decrease the agenda density in that R&D, and I think this is a fair thing to do. Putting some biotics back in, and a hedge fund.
That's fair. I would almost consider putting a sweeps back in instead of one of those biotics.
You got to wonder, yeah, because you really only need to see one, but I think he has one in hand, doesn't he?
I thought he did. He might have discarded it earlier.
Yeah, that does happen from time to time. And then, of course, you discard the thing that you kind of need right at the very end. I do that with psychographics all the time. It's like, I don't need this right now.
They're
it's
never
like
going to get those many
2
tags.
turns later, it's like you just went through your data raven 17 times. All right, so Zach having a look, and are you going to res that Eli? Does res it. Just bankrupting him. And that's going to buy Benoit another turn. At least. Maybe 2. Probably 2.
Was this Benoit's second click? Okay.
Yeah, and then he
could have clicked
procodes
through that.
yet again. Marked accounts, getting Zach back out of the hole, putting on 1 credit, and he draws into that hedge fund. Oh, don't you love that Eli res? Great run by Benoit, good face check. That's going to buy him some more time. Allows him to go on the offensive a bit harder. And it looks like Zach just gaining 3 money. I'm going to discard some cards. So I think he's building up to that big Beal.
The big Beal.
The big Beal.
What's the big Beal, guys?
A legwork out of Benoit here would just be massive. I think hitting that Beal would... Oh, man, what a change of plans.
It would change the pace of this game.
Certainly. Proco twice. It's going to kind of stop that option.
Is that is that a levy or an indexing? I can't tell.
I think that's a levy. I think that's a 1 levy. And drawing yet again for Proco. Getting some money. Building it the hard way. And there's the Corroder. Not even hiding it. Not going to hold it and wait until next turn to surprise HQ. Get in there. It's just like, nope. Everything you have out there is barriers. I need to just get some barriers.
I think he's ultimately okay with him breaking through the... Like, Benoit is okay with it. Knowing it, if he wants to install more ice, go for it.
Please.
Go pour.
I know you're only a few credits away from potentially ending this thing. It's just been too long without an agenda.
Scoring the breaking news.
Yep, scoring a breaking
news. All right,
news.
so Benoit's got a turn.
That changes everything. So another line here is seen from Zach. And now we have a huge turn here, Tim. Can Benoit do something about this? Has a shot at HQ, of course. Same old thing. Looks like it's going to be indexing. Absolutely.
That's a really good call. Ultimately.
And breaks it. Now the question is, so he's got 3 credits. I believe, so it takes 2 to break a wall of static.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, he's same old thinged. He can still only get in there once as far as I know. He will not have the credits to get in there twice if there's 2. So I think...
He just knows that if Zach doesn't have one in hand, he has to make it where he can't.
He has to make it where he can't win unless Zach is holding. And... You know, having played, you wonder if there's an agenda in hand. It's probably already come out because the Astro counters. And
if I'm sitting in Benoit's seat, I don't think he has one in hand.
Yeah.
Just because he's had it so long.
Yep.
And he's had a lot of money at certain points.
Absolutely fair. And then you got to look back on it and say, well, did Zach, installing that HQ ice, was that an indicator? Ooh, and grabs the Astro, puts him on 6 points. Oh,
Stim hack
man.
here would be awesome if there was another
man,
agenda
can he
there.
get back in? Is there one? Obviously, he didn't leave one on top if there
Broco.
is. Zach going to draw, and I believe this game is going to be over.
Yeah.
Yep, there it
Boom.
is. Woo!
Whew.
Man,
Here.
my heart racing. Okay, wow. So we're going to go to game 15, the second game of the finals where
So
Zach and Benoit are
so
going to
much
face
Netrunner.
off yet again. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Tim,
See you guys there.